What's going on, guys? I'm Landon from Shoeware, and today we're putting the newest models from Donovan Mitchell and Trae Young's shoe lines with Adidas head-to-head to see how they compare. So really quick, if this is your first time checking us out, feel free to drop a follow or subscribe wherever you're watching this video, and go ahead and give us a like. We would greatly appreciate that. But now let's go ahead and do a quick rundown for the box and the price for these shoes. So the D.O.N 3s are going to come in a red box with the spider logo on top. And then since his nickname is Spider Mitchell, that's kind of where that design comes from. And then the Trae Young ones, they come with a white box with some written text on there saying, always remember when they doubted you. So it has a signature underneath as well. So that just kind of goes to show the underdog mentality and like the work ethic that he plays with. And then honestly, you know, both of these guys kind of have that same exact mindset. But for pricing, the Trae Youngs are retailing for $140, while the D.O.N 3s are actually quite a bit lower at $110. So it's a little bit different to see a player's first signature shoe already being more expensive, you know, than Donovan Mitchell's third shoe with Adidas, but you'll kind of get a better idea as to why that is in just a second. But that pretty much covers the box and price for these, so let's move on. All right, so before I get more into the performance comparison, I do just want to briefly go over the appearance for each of these shoes first. So starting off with the colorways, today we're looking at the Adidas Trae Young 1 Ice Trae versus the D.O.N Issue 3 Say Cheese. So checking out the side of these shoes on the midsole, they both kind of do have their own like version of those three loops going on the outside, and they do look somewhat similar. But for the D.O.N 3s, the spider logo does kind of show up on the tongue for these shoes, but honestly overall it's a pretty simple look to this third shoe. You do kind of have that camera running across on that band that kind of covers the laces, and that's somewhat of a nod to the Say Cheese colorway. But switching it over to the Trae Young 1 Ice Trae, it's really not hard to see where that colorway name comes into play for this shoe with that icy polar bear on the back. And then the patch on the Trae Young ones, it does kind of remind me a little bit of the Air Jordan 6, even though that is from a different brand. And then on his shoe specifically for that midsole, with those three loops, it does kind of remind me of like the Adidas trefoil logo if you look hard enough. But that kind of covers the appearance section for these. So now let's go ahead and get into how each of these shoes hold up on the court. All right, so now checking out the performance and the materials comparison, I'll start off with the cushioning first. So both of these shoes do have a light strike midsole that does run throughout the entire shoe, but Trae Young ones do have some additional boost cushioning in the back half of that shoe, kind of in a hockey puck setup. That does give you a pretty soft yet responsive feel. And although the cushioning isn't anything over the top for the D.O.N 3s, it is still going to be a little bit softer than last year's D.O.N 2 model, so I do think that they made a step up there. And then checking out the upper, both of these shoes have some like, you know, cheaper textiles running across the shoe, kind of making up the bulk of that upper. But the D.O.N.s do have a little bit more of a loose feel from those textiles, and that's going to be a downside for support. But, you know, they do actually end up getting a little better ventilation than the Trae Young ones, because the textiles on these Trae shoes, they're just a little bit more firm, which, to circle all the way back around, is going to lead to some better support for your side-to-side, you know, your lateral containment. So, but Trae Young, you know, he did get some suede touches put onto this shoe across this upper in a few different places. It's mainly on those light blue patches. You kind of see it show up above the midsole. It's on the heel. It shows up near the toe. And then even on those upside down white spikes, that's all kind of made of that suede material. And then jumping to the bottom of these shoes to look at traction, this actually is one of the stronger points for the Trae Young ones, because you get a herringbone pattern that's going to be in the front half of that shoe, which pairs really nicely with the radial setup in the back. And then reminder, in the back half, that's where all that boost cushioning is going to be. And then these two designs, they basically give you everything that you need on a, like, just for coverage on a basketball shoe. So I love that about the Trae Young ones. And then for the D.O.N 3s, traction is actually one of the better features for this shoe as well. It plays really nice both indoors and outdoors on those courts. And they did actually fix some inconsistencies from last year's D.O.N 2 model for these shoes from what I noticed. But then to finish off with sizing, both of these shoes are a true to size fit, and you know, that doesn't happen every day for Adidas. The Trae Youngs do have like that tongue built directly into the upper, so it's not the easiest shoe to get on because it doesn't stretch all that much. But once you get your foot in there, you should be able to fit your normal size. So for final ratings, Adidas did a really solid job on the design for Trae's first signature shoe, so that kind of takes home the appearance section. But the cushioning does feel pretty good on the D.O.N 3s, but you know, that boost cushioning for Trae's, you know, that sort of separates itself from the pack, or at least from this shoe in that region. And then being the more expensive shoe, you can tell that they put a little bit more money into making the materials, pretty quality for that Trae Young 1, especially adding those suede touches. And then the support for the D.O.N 3s, it actually did take a step back from last year's model, while I didn't really struggle with any support issues on the Trae Youngs at all. So it's not looking great for the D.O.N 3s, and it isn't about to get much better because, well, the traction on them, it is definitely solid. It doesn't really measure up to the herringbone and radial designs that show up on this Trae Young 1. So this is actually going to be a clean sweep for the Trae Youngs for this battle. The D.O.N 3s are much cheaper, like I mentioned, so although they didn't necessarily, win any of the categories in this competition, there are still some things on here that I like in their own right, just for comfort and for traction and stuff like that. And then just in case you do want a little bit more of, an in-depth review on each of these shoes, we do have individual reviews live for both pairs, so I do go a little bit deeper on those models, so feel free to check those out if you want. But that pretty much wraps up our performance comparison for the D.O.N issue 3, what is it called? D.O.N issue 3 Say Cheese and the Trae Young 1 Ice Trae. Thank you guys for taking some time to watch. If you're interested in purchasing either of these shoes, just make sure you check out the links in the description below. And then last, just feel free to leave a comment below if you like this video, or just let us know any other shoes that you may want us to check out. But until next review, I'm Landon from Shoeware. Peace.